That's 9 now.
The Radio Wammo Breakfast.
Well, the New Zealand International Film Festival is happening next month. First of all, kicking off in Auckland City. And the program is out now. It was just launched last night at a wee event at the Rialto. And Bill Gosden is the director who's put the whole film festival together, as he has done for many, many years now. G'day there, Bill.
Hi.
Oh, I'll get you to swing that mic around. Sorry, I should have organised that just beforehand so you can talk into that microphone.
Hello.
Yes, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm kind of slowly recovering from the last 6 weeks of manic effort putting this festival together. We've been...
Last night you said you were in a cave.
Yeah, it does feel like that. The office up above the Embassy Theatre in Wellington feels very dark at times, but it's been a very exciting process this year because we managed to whisk about 18 titles direct from the Cannes Film Festival into the festival here.
That is exciting.
It is.
Yeah.
The thing is that people are never really prepared to commit their films until they've played Cannes. And there's one or two exceptions to that, a couple of films that we had lined up in advance. But mostly it's a matter of waiting to see how the pieces fall after Cannes, and many of the pieces fell into our basket this year. So we're very pleased about that.
Is there a trend this year, you think?
A few things you notice that as you're watching films repeatedly, there's an overwhelming number of films that are about father-son issues in this year's film festival. The Tree of Life, which won the Palme d'Or, the long-awaited Terrence Malick film, which is just going to look extraordinarily stunning on the giant screens we can give it at the Civic and the Embassy in Wellington and the Regent Dunedin. There's a film that has a father-son struggle right at the heart of it. Another one that is a much lighter piece of work is Beginners, which is a romantic comedy. Ewan McGregor and Melanie Laurent, the woman from Inglourious Bastards, are the couple in that. But the film is very much about Ewan McGregor's relationship with his father, played by Christopher Plummer.
Yeah.
It's based on the true story of Mike Mills, the director, and his own father. After Mike Mills' mother died, his father, at the age of 78, came out of the closet, announced to the rest of the family that he was gay and that he intended to do something about it.
Crikey.
And did, with a vehemence for the last 5 or so years of his life. Christopher Plummer gets to play this character, and Ewan McGregor is the startled son who's now wondering what the meaning of his parents' relationship must have been, and kind of the film beautifully interlaces that with McGregor's relationship with the Melanie Laurent character. It's a very funny movie, but it's also a very, very thoughtful romantic comedy. But as I say, fathers and sons everywhere at the festival this year.
So tell me, Brad Pitt's coming to the festival this year, is he?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
But you do have
and we're very relaxed about that. So we're not telling anybody. In fact, it's rather a mistake on your part to mention it.
Sorry. No, you do have a big guest, Morgan Spurlock, of course, from Super Size Me, and he's got a new film out.
Morgan Spurlock's new film is a film which is all about product placement in movies, and he decided that the whole process would best be exposed by making a movie that was entirely financed by product placement.
This sounds fantastic. Now, this is a bit of a comeback for him because his last film was a little bit of a dud, wasn't it?
It was a bit ambitious. It was a bit ambitious, wasn't it? He was going to sort out the Middle East, in fact. He's definitely going to outgun Mike Moore on that one, and it really didn't happen. No, this film puts him on much more like home ground. I think he's really in his element in this film. You see him pitching his film to all kinds of incredibly unlikely potential sponsors. The funniest one, of course, is the horse hair crossover shampoo, a shampoo that was invented for horses, but they've decided to market to people as well.
Right.
I think they end up not in. They end up choosing against funding Morgan's movie. But Pom Wonderful, the producers of the pomegranate juice, their investment is really considerable, and the film's official title is, in fact, Pom Wonderful Presents the Greatest Story Ever Sold.
Huh. Cool. Well, I can't wait to see him here in New Zealand talking about that. Let's talk about the opening night film called Love Story.
In Auckland, we're opening with Love Story, Florian Harbucht's wonderful new film. Florian, who's probably best known still for Kaikoai Demolition, which is a Kiwi classic.
And last year or the year before was the one about 90 Mile. I was on 90 Mile Beach.
Yeah, that was a kind of follow-up to. That was a sort of son of Kaikoai Demolition,
Yeah.
the film about the snapper fishing competition on 90
Brilliant.
Mile Beach.
Which really turned into the sort of meaning of life.
Yeah, it
Sort
did
of,
rather, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. There was the helicopter shot that took us up over Rianga and was quite awesome.
Yeah.
This one's more about the meaning of love,
Right.
and Florian was granted a fellowship by the Arts Foundation, which enabled him from the end of 2009 to go and live in New York for a year.
Yeah.
A really nice kind of fellowship for any young artist to receive. And what's particularly nice about it is there's no obligation attached to do any work during that time. He did do some work. Of course, it doesn't look like work because it's Florian and it looks effortless. I'm sure it wasn't. He's created a hybrid of documentary and romantic comedy. Definitely a big year for romantic comedy at the film festival this year. And the documentary element is that he keeps consulting people in the street, complete strangers in the street in New York, about what should happen next in his movie, and then taking their advice and determining the narrative of his movie in that in that way. And the narrative is basically he's in pursuit of a gorgeous young woman he sees improbably carrying a piece of cake on a plate on the subway to Coney Island.
Yeah.
Of all the subway routes you could take in New York, of course, it's not unexpected that Florian might be headed to Coney Island, and he pursues her through the movie, following advice. Some of it very brash and not even all that constructive from various New Yorkers. It's very funny. The young woman in the film is a knockout. She's a star. I'm not even entirely sure where Florian did find her. I haven't had that conversation with him yet, but I doubt very much that it was on the Coney Island subway line.
What a great concept. That's really, really
It is.
cool.
He really makes it fly. The film's it's a love letter to New York, and goodness knows there's been a lot of those, but it has its own unique flavour. Very charming film.
That's brilliant. Now, there are some films that are making a comeback to the big screen as well, aren't
Yeah, we've got some of the real greats. Nosferatu is the live cinema presentation with the Auckland Philharmonia this year. We've run comedies for the last few years, but it's great to run the original classic Dracula movie. You know, it is Dracula, and the filmmaker Murnau wasn't prepared to pay the rights for Dracula, so just changed all the names. It's basically Dracula. But the Nosferatu vampire character in this film, his creepiness definitely transcends the 90 years since this film was made, and with a very big dramatic score performed by the Auckland Philharmonia, that's going to be quite something. So I think is Taxi Driver in a beautiful new print, which I've seen. What a stunning film that is. I mean, that's the opposite of Florian's film when it comes to putting New York on screen, because of course the New York you see, the 70s New York you see in Taxi Driver is hell on earth. It's like the Inferno. With this rather sad, lonely, confused, and seriously dangerous taxi driver cruising the streets, obsessed about sleaze and determined to do something about it. De Niro's best ever performance, I think. The combination of vulnerability and threat that he puts across in that role was really quite something. So in every subsequent role, he's some kind of authority figure. In this one, he's not. Although he's determined to become one. I think Taxi Driver is one of the great films. We also have a beautiful new restoration, talking of Martin Scorsese. His Film Foundation, in collaboration with Gucci, have embarked on this wonderful program to preserve and make new prints of Italian classics. And you never really think that a film like La Dolce Vita might be in danger of might actually need that kind of assistance. The fact is that it did, that the film had been more from overuse than underuse. The original materials were in pretty shabby condition. And there's also 3 or 4 minutes of the film that had been dropped from early release, which there's plenty of documentary evidence that Fellini wanted it back in there. So the film is slightly longer than it's ever been before and looks amazing.
Because it's interesting, because you think once they transfer something perhaps to Blu-ray, then it is preserved,
Well, I think the Blu-ray transfer is likely to follow from the work that was done on La Dolce Vita.
Right.
Don't be surprised if there's a new Blu-ray of La Dolce Vita coming your way reasonably soon. It's already happened with Taxi Driver. The elements, the preservation work that's been done that produced these new prints is behind the Blu-ray. And if anyone's seen the Blu-ray of Taxi Driver, they'll have a pretty fair idea of how stunning the new prints look.
I'm interested to see that the Christchurch earthquake is featuring on the big screen in a documentary called Moving.
Yes, this is a modest film. It's not it's just a film about 2 people, and it tells their story of having immigrated to Christchurch early in the decade from Korea. They liked the place. It seemed a great place to bring up their kids. They struggled for a long time, but by the time the February earthquake struck, they'd actually been doing rather well. They had a couple of restaurants right in the CBD, and of course they had a great deal to lose. The filmmaker Park Ki-young is a Korean filmmaker of considerable note. We've screened a couple of his features here before. He's currently here on a fellowship at Auckland University, and when he heard about the quake, he got down there with his camera, found this Korean couple, and he interviewed them at great length. And they're great raconteurs, they're great storytellers. The film really is very simple. They just tell their story. But they have a real gift for talking about hard times without rancor. And the thing I liked about the film was that its modesty acknowledged that there are thousands and thousands and thousands of other stories like this to be told. So it stands in the festival for many stories in a way, and I'm very grateful to Park Ki-young for having given us a film that can acknowledge on our program just the great calamity that has hit this country this year.
Well, we really are looking forward to the New Zealand International Film Festival. It kicks off in Auckland, first of all, from July 14th to the 31st. nzff.co.nz. We should say for Christchurch listeners that it will be coming to Christchurch.
Indeed, we'll be at the Northlands complex. Hoyts have managed to clear a space for us on their very busy schedule, you can imagine, with so few screens up in Christchurch. They're at a premium, so we're enormously pleased that Hoyts have recognised the need, as we see it, to bring the festival to Christchurch.
Great. Well, we look forward to covering the festival more as it gets closer. But in the meantime, you can book your tickets soon at nzff.co.nz.
Yeah, from Friday for Auckland, and the Wellington program will be out at the end of next week.
Brilliant. Go check it out. It'll also, of course, in local cafes and places where you can pick up film festival guides. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
It's been Bill Gosden, Director of the New Zealand International Film Festival.